Next up is the MVP award race. And why is it so QB heavy? Aaron, why do you think the MVP award race is so QB heavy?
Um, a wide receiver's never won it. Um, a defensive player has to break a record to win it. Um, and a running back has to run for over 2,000 yards to be considered for it. So when you have those statisticals, you're having to basically be the best that's ever had a single season
Well,
outside
Cooper
of a
Cup didn't even
quarterback.
get it. That's
Yeah.
insane. Cooper Cup didn't even get it last year.
Well, when Megatron never won an MVP, it's
That's a
over.
good point. That's a good point. That's a good point. That's a good point.
When our Jerry Rice, if Jerry Rice or Megatron never won an MVP, no, I don't care who comes into this league. No one's gonna ever be better than them. I don't care. It's already set in my mind. I watched the Patriots.
Career wise, I think a single season there will be someone who
Oh, a
breaks those
single
records.
season.
But
Yeah, but
career wise, I'm with you. I'm with you.
full
Career wise,
talent,
yep,
full
I'm with you.
talent. I think Megatron could have been better than Jerry
Yep, 100%.
if he could have stayed healthy and played. But Jerry's still number one,
Yep.
and the fact that neither one of them ever won it, then and it's hard because if a wide receiver is having a 2,000 yard season and 30 touchdowns, 20 touchdowns, whatever it's going to be, that's going to put him in the MVP conversation, then that quarterback's having 50 and a 5,000 yard season. So that quarterback, like,
Well, plus if
you
that
know,
if
is
that wide receiver doesn't win it, yeah, if that wide receiver doesn't win it, no wide receiver will ever win it.
no. And here's the thing: this is what's going to have to happen if it's ever going to happen. A wide receiver is going to have to go for 2,500 yards. He's going to have 25 touchdowns, and he's going to have two quarterbacks throwing him the ball that season. It's going to have a quarterback go down with an injury, and it's going to have to be a record-breaking season. Maybe not 2,500. That would break the single season record by a lot,
I'm just gonna go
but it's going to be
2,200 divided by 17.
yeah,
That is 130 yards a game. Tyreek Hill is the only guy right now averaging over 100, like 120 ish. He's the only
yeah, and
receiver.
I don't think he could do it. I
Nope.
don't. I
Yeah,
think
no.
that's just
It's too late in
and
his
that's
career.
I think that's where it becomes a QB heavy race when you talk about MVP, just because it's so hard for a offensive player to just the way the game runs, even running back, if he's running for or receiving for 5,000 or 5,000 500 yards in a season and running for 1,500, the quarterback's going to get credit for those 500 yards. And so it automatically ends up electing him. Why do you think it's been quarterback heavy? Any other points besides what we've already talked about?
I mean, I think that there are like so when a big play happens and they post it on Twitter, they say, "Whoa, look at this massive play." They always say, "Tua launches the ball deep to Tyreek Hill, touchdown."
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill did most of that work, bro. Like, I'm not trying to be mean to Tua. I'm not trying to be a Tua hater. Aaron Rodgers and Christian Watson. Christian Watson is the one doing most of the work. Any quarterback to wide receiver, sure, they threw it 50 yards. Again, any backup in the NFL can throw 50
Mm-hmm.
yards. But if Tyreek goes for 50 more yards after the catch, why did you put Tua's name in there? Because he's the one who threw the ball. So I think that is they're the ones that they're mic'd up every game. They're always mic'd up. They're the ones that you hear the most about in the draft. They're the ones that go the most in the Heisman trophies. It's just from the bottom up. It has to be a complete change to why
Yeah.
the quarterbacks are so favored.
And that's why I think you should create a second award. I think it should no longer be an MVP award. I think it should be who's the best quarterback, because having an MVP every single year being a quarterback, it gets boring. It does.
Well, it already is
So
boring. It already is.
yeah,
But
I
the fact that both the Heisman Trophy and the MVP, because it's the first year in a while, there's not been a defensive player. Like Will Anderson,
yeah.
the last two Heisman's has had voting. It's only quarterbacks now, and those quarterbacks don't deserve to be in that Heisman Trophy running. Blake Corum,
Oh,
Bijan Robinson, Will Anderson, those three deserve more voting, and they should be in the conversation for Heisman. But they put Max Dungeon and Stetson Barrett.
it's optics.
Yep,
People know the name.
exactly.
It's going to be a QB driven league. QBs sell money. QBs are the face. QBs make the most money. I'm not mad at it, just because like what we talked about. It's just it kind of the way the game works. quarterback's gonna run your offense. It's gonna run the team. He's gonna be the most important player, and so by default, he's gonna most likely become the most valuable player in it. I think you should create a separate award for like the best non QB MVP. Um, and then you would have a cool conversation of like, oh, is a running back, wide receiver, defensive player going to win it this year? And it wouldn't automatically be just a quarterback race.
Yeah, I'm not trying to pick on Tua. He's been picked on enough. Tua shouldn't be in the conversation. He shouldn't. Like, he was not like this until Tyreek Hill came to the Dolphins. It should be.
But no, he wasn't not to the level that. No, but here's the thing. I don't think Tyreek Hill should be in the MVP conversation.
You don't?
And I don't. Not this year. I think in years past he could have maybe mentioned it. I personally still believe you have to be having a record-breaking season to be considered to be, and unless no one else is doing anything, there's been years that it's just been dud seasons where it's just statistically not like disappointing, but just disappointing where a quarterback that threw for 4,400 yards and 25 touchdowns won it, just because it was just a dud of a season.
Yeah.
But for it to be like this year, Patrick Mahomes is on pace for 6,000 yards. Joe Burrow is having the year that we already talked about. These quarterbacks, for you to statistically beat one of those guys out, like you're talking about, even if he had 2,000 yards, if Patrick Mahomes throws for 6,000, which he probably won't, he'll probably throw for a little less than that.
I think he's actually on pace for like 58. I think he's the actual number.
Yeah.
I just rounded up.
Yeah, rounded up, but whatever. Let's just say that's a good rounded up number. Let's say that's 4,000 yards more.
Yeah.
That it's hard to really ever consider a wide receiver or running back. So I'm not mad at it. It's just one of those things. It's like, how can we even compare when he's doing it the way? Or like, how about a kicker? What if a kicker kicks 60 field goals in a season?
Well, like Justin Tucker last year, like there's a very interesting conversation I heard from another podcast. They said the NFL top 100, you either have 3 kickers on that list or you have no kickers on that list. Because pure skill at their position, Justin Tucker is a top 5 player in the NFL.
Yep.
But if you don't put him in the top 5 of the NFL, you can't have him on the list at all. Because he's not better NFL-wise than 100 guys. But at their position, he's a top 5. Like in the league, he's a top 5 player at his. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So like if you don't have Justin Tucker at number 5, you don't have him in the top 100 at all. But once you put him at number 5, then you put Younghoe Koo in the conversation in the top 100. You put Daniel Carlson, Graham Gano. Like then you start a whole conversation of, well, these kickers do so much for their team. So it's very interesting in my opinion, the MVP award race, because it does factor into legacy.
It does, and it's one of those things that I think you would have to, if you were going to make it a competition again outside of quarterback, you would have to look at it just like they were talking about. Of okay, we're going to take it and not view total yards. We're just going to, okay, what did you truly mean to your position?
Yeah.
And then take it from there. Did Tyreek Hill matter more to the wide receiver position than Patrick Mahomes meant to the quarterback position? Like, was Tyreek Hill so crazy at the wide receiver position where he was a 10 and Patrick Mahomes was a 9.5 at the quarterback position that we can put Tyreek Hill above Patrick Mahomes? But it's going to be, I don't think that's going to happen. And it's just one of those things that ultimately it is what it is.
Yeah, there's not much that we can do and that anyone can really do. It really does come up to the voters all coming together and saying, hey guys, let's revamp how we do this because it's getting a little stale.
Yeah. I think there'll be some revamps here in the next few years, but it's hard. Because what we just talked about, it's hard. How do we revamp it? But
yeah, a lot smarter people than us figure that out.